Hello, everyone. Thanks for watching. This is Charles Wiley Stone with Session 4's Naturalistic Observation. It was a Sunday morning, really bright spring, fresh and warm in the great state of Idaho, specifically northern Idaho. The setting was at my home church. And what you may or may not know about northern Idaho is that it is predominantly white. There are basically no Hispanic or African American in the population of this part of Idaho. Another thing that you should know about this setting is that it was the first time that my church was able to come together in the same building. Social distancing has been awkward for a lot of people, and I was assured by the Sunday school teacher that this was not the typical situation, as people were, or the kids were spread out at 6 feet apart from everyone. Everybody seemed to be estranged from everyone else. John Doe's appearance was that of a well-nourished adolescent. He had a modern haircut, and he wore a hoodie and jeans, which is typical of North Idaho attire. He had an additional body fat, which Kale and Kavanaugh explain is common in adolescence to gain in body fat. John's demeanor was somewhat somber. He had very little interaction with other kids, his peers. His eyes were cast on the floor most of the time. He was fidgety, and he also was a bit obsessive. My church gives out Bible bucks, and John was constantly folding and refolding and making sure the corners were nice and tight, and then rearranging. Barstein and others disclosed that both motivations for withdrawal, whether shyness or preference for solitude, are very related to internalizing problems as well as anxiety over the course of 1 year. So this is of concern for John Doe. The activities in the classroom allowed me to see that he was going into the 5th grade, the firstborn of his siblings, and he was enrolled in public school. And all of these things indicate that he was very common in his classroom to have these certain roles. Bauhadani and others had a study that emphasized the physiological importance of belonging to a social group and corroborate previous findings that social exclusion is a risk factor for psychotic experiences and psychosocial problems. So that was also of concern with John when I was viewing. Another interesting observation was they were playing Pictionary, and when one of his peers drew this shape, he knew right away that it was Florida, which was surprising because, as Kale and Kavanaugh explain, successes in one area or domain in academics will lead to a positive self-concept. And I was surprised to see how John Doe's self-concept was um, rather negative. Something that kind of stuck out to me in the observation as well was the Sunday school teacher never called on him, and the Sunday school teacher didn't realize I was watching John Doe, but he just kind of fell through the cracks. One thing that challenged my assumption was in regard to genetics. When I walked out into the spring day after the observation, I observed John with his father, and I was really surprised to see that I knew John's father. I had played several soccer games with him before, and I know him to be gentle and outspoken, not shy at all. I had previously assumed that John Doe's reservations for social encounters were hereditary, because of reading the Kaelin Kavanagh's posit that heredity plays a role, putting some adolescents at greater risk for depression. But this was not the case for John Doe. So that's all I have for you for today. Thank you for watching. Bye.